Welcome to the Left Exchange. To help support our channel, please hit the like button, and if you like the content, consider subscribing. We truly appreciate it. Political divisiveness is at an all-time high. At least this is the refrain we hear all the time in regards to the current state of political discourse here in the United States. In addition to being difficult to meaningfully quantify, there tends to be the underlying assumption that political divisiveness is inherently problematic. This isn't to say that it is a positive thing, but as with many things in life, context tends to be key. Whenever charges of political divisiveness are espoused, soon to follow are calls for civility, moderation, and finding the truth in the middle. The problem, obviously, is that the truth, or most reasonable solution to a given problem, is not always somewhere in the middle. In fact, one can argue that it often is not. Without examining the reasonableness or validity of a given individual claim and an opposing alternative, and merely assuming the truth falls in the middle, one would literally be falling victim to the middle ground fallacy. Even worse than this, it can be dangerous to take it as a given that two opposing positions are equally extreme, or extreme at all. But even in the case of two extreme positions, it is entirely possible that one of those extreme positions is correct. As a practical matter, it is often conservatives and so-called political moderates who intentionally advocate for compromise and moderate policies in a transparent attempt to continue dragging the Overton window to the right. And if you aren't convinced that the Overton window has already been dragged significantly to the right, consider this. Joe Biden, author of the '93 crime bill, is largely considered to be a moderately left-wing politician, rather than center-right. Regardless, the tactic continues, and has unfortunately proven to be fairly effective. Ironically, it has also been weaponized by the Democratic Party, who, rather than compromising with the Republicans when they truly have no choice, pretend to hold firm on an imaginary progressive ground that they do not actually hold. We know this because when Democrats control all three branches of government, they do not make any attempts to pass meaningful progressive legislation. One of the main ways that the middle ground fallacy is damaging to political discourse is that it oversimplifies complex issues. Political issues are often multifaceted, with many different factors at play and a range of possible solutions. By presenting only two options, the middle ground fallacy ignores the complexity of the issue and ignores the potential for other solutions. This oversimplification can also lead to polarizing political discourse, as people feel pressured to choose one side or the other. This can create an us versus them mentality and make it more difficult for people to find common ground and work towards solutions that are in the best interests of everyone. Which is ironically the very mindset that proponents of the middle ground are purporting to be in opposition to. Just so we're fully defining terms, the middle ground fallacy, also known as the false dilemma or false dichotomy, is a logical fallacy that occurs when two options are presented as the only possible alternatives, when in reality there may be other options available. This fallacy is often used in political discourse, where it can be damaging to the quality of the conversation and the ability to find solutions to complex problems. One of the main ways that the middle ground fallacy is damaging to political discourse is that it oversimplifies complex issues. Political issues are often multifaceted, with many different factors at play and a range of possible solutions. By presenting only two options, the middle ground fallacy ignores the complexity of the issue and ignores the potential for other solutions. This oversimplification can also lead to polarizing political discourse, as people feel pressured to choose one side or the other. This can create an us versus them mentality and make it more difficult for people to find common ground and work towards solutions that are in the best interests of everyone. Another way that the middle ground fallacy is damaging to political discourse is that it can lead to compromise for the sake of compromise, rather than finding the best solution to a problem. When faced with two options, people may feel pressured to choose the middle ground, even if neither option is ideal. This can result in suboptimal solutions that don't fully address the problem or that are a compromise in name only. Additionally, the middle ground fallacy can be used to manipulate public opinion. By presenting only two options and framing them as the only alternatives, those who are using the fallacy can try to sway public opinion in their favor. This can be particularly damaging when one of the options is clearly undesirable or when it is presented as the only alternative to something even worse. One way to combat the middle ground fallacy is to actively seek out and consider alternative viewpoints and solutions. This can help to create a more nuanced and well-rounded understanding of an issue and can lead to more creative and effective solutions. It can also be helpful to be aware of the ways in which the middle ground fallacy can be used to manipulate public opinion, and to be critical of arguments that present only two options as the only alternatives. Another way to counter the middle ground fallacy is to engage in respectful dialogue and debate with those who hold different viewpoints. This can help to foster understanding and facilitate the exchange of ideas, rather than simply trying to convince someone to adopt a certain position. It is also important to be open to the possibility of changing one's own viewpoint, as new information or perspectives may emerge that can alter one's understanding of an issue. As a side note, to be sure, there are instances when respectful dialogue is not needed. In addition, it can be helpful to seek out sources of information that provide a balanced and unbiased view of an issue. This can help to ensure that all relevant perspectives are considered, rather than being swayed by arguments that present only one side of the issue. Ultimately, the middle ground fallacy is damaging to political discourse because it reduces complex issues to simplistic dichotomies and ignores the possibility of other solutions. By being aware of this fallacy and actively seeking out alternative viewpoints, we can work towards more nuanced and effective solutions to the challenges facing our society.